They're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know how brown the baby gonna be. Oh, wow. Wow.
In California, we're just a regular couple living close to Oprah and far from the paparazzi. But not too far.
What?
No more following Granny's rules.
You sure about that?
If I want to play polo in my living room, who's gonna stop me?
Stop that.
Right away, Megs.
Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things. After 6 episodes, I wanted to attack them.
Meghan said that she and Harry actually got married 3 days before the royal wedding. Great, now I feel like a fool for waking up at 5 a.m. to watch 2 married people get married.
When Chris Rock took the stage for his Netflix special and aimed at Meghan Markle, it was clear this wasn't just comedy. It wasn't another roast. It was a verdict. To understand how their narrative unraveled, we need to look at 3 things. The takedown by Chris Rock that exposed the fatal flaw in their story, the merciless comedic assault from the entertainment world that followed, and the damning evidence from their own baffling statements. But while many comedians were landing punchlines, one wasn't just going for laughs. He was delivering a philosophical verdict. That comedian was Bill Maher, and his analysis is more revealing than any single joke. It has to be seen to be believed, and we will get to it. But first, we have to start with the takedown that ripped their narrative apart. It all started on Chris Rock's Netflix special, where he went straight for the most unbelievable part of their story. Meghan's claim on Oprah that she was completely ignorant about the royals. Rock treated that claim with total disbelief.
A philosophical verdict. That comedian was Bill Maher, and his analysis is more revealing than any single joke. It has to be seen to...
The audience loved it. But Rock wasn't just making a quick joke. He was setting her up to show how ridiculous her claim was. He sarcastically pretended to agree with her just to make his point even sharper.
Gone on Oprah, I didn't know. I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. You didn't Google these?
And after exposing the absurdity of her story, Rock used a simple and brutal analogy to hammer his point home. One that everyone could understand.
What the is she talking about? She didn't know. It's the royal family. They're the original racists.
With her whole "I didn't know" excuse demolished, Rock moved on to her other big complaint. He argued that what she called racism was actually something far more common and petty.
That's like marrying into the Budweiser family and going, they drink a lot. This invested in slavery like it was Shark Tank.
Savage attack was aimed at their single biggest accusation, the explosive topic of the royal family's alleged concern over the baby's skin color. With just one simple observation, he completely neutralized their claim.
Some of that she went through was not racism. It was just some in-law
But the takedown was brutal, and the message was clear. Rock wasn't holding back, but he was just one part of a much bigger comedic assault happening everywhere. Soon, it felt like every satirist on the planet was getting in on the action. The attacks came from all over, but the first wave came from British satire, which took merciless aim at their new life in America.
They wanted to know how brown the baby's gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know.
The British puppet show's fitting image also painted Harry as incredibly lazy and out of touch with the real world.
I'm here to tell my truth and make a ton of money out of podcasting, as I don't have any discernible talent.
The show claimed he was still obsessed with the royal status he supposedly left behind.
Harry, you're such a moderate achiever. How do you stay at the top of the middle of your game?
An early start's important, so my butler Perkins gets up at 5 a.m. and does a 10K for me.
They relentlessly mocked their massive Netflix deal as just a simple money grab.
When he gets in, he wakes me up and Googles to see if I'm still 5th in line to the throne.
5th in line?
Yeah, Kate and Wills have any more kids, I'll move down another.
And of course, they highlighted their complete hypocrisy about wanting privacy from the press.
about television? Do you have a Netflix account?
Yeah, it's got about $9 million in it.
Mamalado!
While British satire focused on their new life, American late-night shows had been mocking them for years. Saturday Night Live, for instance, had a recurring sketch with the two princes that always began by highlighting their awkward relationship.
In California, we're just a regular couple living close to Oprah and far from the paparazzi. But not too far.
The skits consistently painted Harry as the less intelligent brother who couldn't keep up.
Michael, we like to apologise. Unfortunately, William's hair was unable to make it this evening.
The skits
And the dynamic always ended the same way. Harry would make a joke at William's expense, which would make William genuinely angry, and then Harry would have to quickly backpedal and calm him down.
Was the Quidditch match Ron Beasley?
Who's Ron Beasley?
The redhead one.
It's Ron Weasley.
Oh, I don't know. Who cares? Nobody
Everyone
knows.
cares.
Nobody
It's
knows
Harry
that.
Potter. It makes up half of England's economy, man.
The show also created a running gag that Meghan's acting career on the show Suits was unpopular.
Come on, just shave it, Wills.
Okay, just shut up about the hair.
What hair? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I made him mad. I love you.
They even joked that the show was so boring it could be used as a sleep aid.
My brother's fiancée, Miss Meghan Markle, is on the American program Suits.
Yes.
The only difference between that show and this is people watch this one.
This became a common theme across late-night TV, with hosts like Colin Joe famously joking about their declining value.
Whenever the kids are being fussy and not going to bed, she puts on an episode of Suits and they're out. So, what are you doing? Ow! Stop it!
Others, like Jimmy Fallon, were digging into bizarre moments from her actual Netflix show, with Love, Meghan, where she displayed a strange habit that left people baffled.
Trade deal with the UK that will reopen British markets for American companies. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
That's interesting. She takes it from one bag and puts it in another bag. That confuses people. Fallon also mocked their confusing story about getting married before the actual royal wedding.
Why does Meghan Markle make her own pretzel bags? They don't know why.
That's interesting. She takes it from one bag and puts it in another bag.
There's another bag.
And that confuses people.
But the mockery got truly bizarre after Harry and Meghan stepped down from their royal duties. The famous London museum, Madame Tussauds, removed their wax figures from the royal family display, and Conan O'Brien did a whole segment imagining where they ended up. Now,
Meghan said that she and Harry actually got married 3 days before the royal wedding. Great, now I feel like a fool for waking up at 5 a.m. to watch two married people get married.
he introduced a museum employee who had a very creepy attachment to the figures.
Now, I was curious what they did with Harry and Meghan's wax figures, so I found a museum employee who's temporarily storing them.
The bit ended on a deeply weird and uncomfortable punchline.
Oliver, you have generously offered to keep the wax figures of Harry and Meghan safe.
Yeah, that's correct. And if I may, I would just like to say that I'm definitely not using the wax figures for sex stuff.
When the mockery moves from professional comedians to online creators, you know the narrative is out of control. Influencers began parodying specific scenes from her with Love, Meghan show. For example, in one scene, Mindy Kaling casually calls for Meghan Markle, prompting a very awkward and self-important correction from Meghan about her new name.
They are in a loving home, and I treat them better than the museum ever did. They didn't appreciate Meghan's soft hands or Harry's supple lip.
They also poked fun at her tendency to name-drop celebrities who may not be actual friends.
My name is Megan Sussex now. Call me Meghan Markle one more time, Mindy Kaling.
And of course, they had to parody that same infamous moment from her Netflix lifestyle show where she rebagged snacks for no apparent reason.
Mindy and I are such great friends, like besties. Like, I love her. Like, she doesn't know my name, but we're best friends.
The mockery had saturated every level of entertainment, from puppets to late-night hosts to influencers. But these TV-friendly jabs were nothing compared to what was being said on the stand-up stage. Comedians like Simon Brodkin went straight for the throat, claiming the couple's own Netflix documentary was the very thing that turned him completely against them.
Take the snack out of one bag and then move them into another bag and then label this new bag.
For him, it was the small, self-important details that drove him crazy, like their contrived corporate-sounding nicknames, which felt completely fake and inauthentic.
Now, I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I f***ing hate them.
He was also baffled by how they presented normal royal situations like the curtsy as if they were some kind of uniquely traumatic event.
They're making interesting points about racism and misogyny. Then they start calling each other H and M, and I just thought, oh, do f***
But Brodkin didn't just mock their complaints. He took aim at the very foundation of their relationship, voicing the ultimate taboo thought that many people were thinking.
Harry says, how do you explain to someone who just started dating that they have to curtsy to your own grandmother?
How do you explain that you bow to your grandmother and that you will need to curtsy, especially to an American? Like, that's weird.
Maybe just tell her that your grandmother is the f***ing queen and you're in the royal family.
And it was Harry's own cringeworthy use of language in his book that gave comedians like Brodkin even more ammunition, making him sound both unrelatable and a little bit silly.
I don't know how to break this to you, H. But if you weren't in the royal family, M wouldn't be with you.
But for Brodkin and for many others, the final straw was hearing multimillionaires complain about having to pay for their own security. It was a complaint that destroyed any lingering sympathy people might have had.
Describing this one date with Meghan as the night, let me quote you here, me and M pulled the pin on a fun grenade. I actually started rooting for Prince Andrew.
The raw emotional takedown from the stand-up world was complete, but the cold intellectual one we promised from Bill Maher is still to come. But first, the final stage of public humiliation had to play out when the cartoonists stepped in to finish the job. And when it comes to cartoon mockery, no show was ever more savage than South Park. The show dedicated an entire episode to them called the Worldwide Privacy Tour, and it started by mercilessly mocking Harry's memoir and his claims of having a hard life.
Claiming that to pay for their own security, they were not happy about that. Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things after 6 episodes. I wanted to attack them.
The cartoon interviewer then turned his attention to Meghan confronting her alleged desire for the very fame she claimed to despise.
Intellectual one we promised from Bill Maher is still to come. But first, the final stage of public humiliation had to play out when the cartoonists
The show portrays the prince as being completely oblivious to this hypocrisy, jumping to the defense of his Instagram-loving wife in a way that only makes him look more foolish.
So let me start with you, sir. You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Where?
This all builds to the episode's most iconic and brutal visual gag. The couple flying around the world on a private jet, loudly demanding privacy through megaphones, a scene that perfectly captured the public's view of them.
You just want to be normal people, all this attention is so hard. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines?
The punchline to their entire worldwide privacy tour comes when they finally find a new home. A place that is perfectly normal and quiet, which only seems to confuse them, reinforcing the idea that it was never privacy they wanted, but attention.
What are you suggesting? Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
While South Park dedicated a whole story to their hypocrisy, other animated shows like Family Guy used them for quicker, more brutal drive-a-bee punchlines. For these shows, the Sussexes had become a simple shorthand for getting paid millions for doing nothing, whether from Netflix or cringy sponsored posts.
To hell with Canada! We are leaving! We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people! Come on, wife! We want privacy! We want privacy!
But the joke gets even sharper when the show imagines Harry himself having second thoughts about leaving all the made-up nonsense.
At this town, there's just something about it. Oh, darling, I think this might be the play. It's so quiet and empty here. If we moved here, then people would think we're really serious about wanting to be normal.
The tragedy of being turned into a cartoon is that the caricature can become the reality. But as brutal as these animated takedowns were, they were just reflecting the source material. And that brings us at last to the final verdict we promised from Bill Maher. And what made Maher's take so different is that this comedian wasn't just going for laughs. He was delivering a philosophical judgment. He didn't focus on specific missteps, but went straight for the central flaw in their entire public strategy, their hypocritical desire to have it both ways.
Sir, your millions from Netflix for no one knows what.
Put it with the rest of them.
He then contrasted their constant complaining with the stoic philosophy of the one person who truly understood the pressures of royal life, the late Queen Elizabeth.
Babe, time to do our daily $250,000 sponsored Instagram post for Del Taco.
I shouldn't have left the made-up nonsense.
For Maher, this was the great disconnect. The spectacle of incredibly privileged people demanding sympathy for a life most people could only dream of.
They're ridiculous after that. They want it both ways. You know, you can't be, these people were so mean to us, poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
And finally, he identified what might be the most annoying part of their entire project. The arrogant insistence that the rest of the world must play along with their personal drama and their fragile worldview.
You're just fragile. Just take a hint from the Queen, the recently departed.
Never complain, never explain, and rarely be heard speaking in public.
You're complaining about your hard life, and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous. I totally agree.
And I will not bend the knee and just go along with the nonsense. That's what's so annoying about them. The most of all, they insist that you go along with their nonsense and their insanity and their fragility.
And that right there is the entire problem. Bill Maher's verdict wasn't just about a few bad interviews or a failed Netflix deal. It was a diagnosis of a completely broken philosophy. So when you strip everything else away, this story was never really about Chris Rock or a single Netflix special. It's a modern, brutal cautionary tale about authenticity in the digital age. It's a lesson written in real time that you cannot declare war on the media while desperately chasing its spotlight. And you cannot preach a story of hardship from a life of extreme and undeniable privilege. The contradictions eventually become too massive to ignore. And when that happens, the court of public opinion, with its comedians acting as the modern-day court jesters, will always deliver the verdict. The laughter you've heard throughout all of these clips isn't the cause of their problems. It is merely the symptom. It is the unmistakable sound of a story that people no longer believe. Which brings us to the final unavoidable question. After all the strategic missteps, the public ridicule, and the self-inflicted wounds, is there any move Harry and Meghan can make to actually recover? Or is their brand now permanently and irreversibly defined by the punchlines? Make sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.